Hey everyone, when Trudeau said, when I'm done with Canada, you won't recognize it, that's one thing he was saying that was absolutely truthful. That was a truthful statement, probably about the only truthful statement he ever said during his political campaign, but he really didn't mean that. Headline out of CBC News Politics. Liberals establish roadmap for talks to legislate a right to housing. Right to housing included in government's national housing strategy released in 2017. So a right to housing. What the fuck does that even mean? Well, that's a tenet of pure communism, of pure socialism. So you have a right to be able to force what? Home builders, plumbers, electricians, framers, developers, property owners. You have a right to force them to give you a roof over your fucking head now? So slavery's back in fucking style, apparently. Well, I mean, we already know that based on all the other past pretenses and rhetoric espoused by the leftist, the liberal. I don't even like to call them liberals because there's nothing fucking liberal about them except their liberal application of socialist fucking policies, of communism, of propagating communism, of pure collectivism, of forced subjugation, of actual real slavery, just by another word, right? That's what this all means, folks. Why the fuck would anyone have a right to a housing? An actual right is to be free of things. An actual right means to be free of like force, coercion, theft, rape, violence, all those things. That is your inherent right because it requires no capacity or ability or forced subjugation of anyone else. All your negative rights just relies on people not infringing or harming you. These kind of rights, these positive rights, these collective rights are all about forcing or imposing your preferences, your ideology, and your own livelihoods onto someone else. It means that you get to force other people to be slaves to you. That's what a fucking positive right truly means, what it truly entails. The federal government is offering the first hints of how it plans to go about creating a new right to housing, raising more questions about just how far the Trudeau Liberals plan to go with the idea. The idea behind enshrining a right to housing was to provide some recourse to anyone wrongfully denied an apartment or home, either through tribunals or the courts. What do you mean, denied a home? Do they have the money to fucking pay for? Who would deny someone a home if they have the money? Like I said, they're so open, they're so opaque, they're so vague in their fucking political propaganda, and obviously they do it for a reason. That's what leaves you question. An actual intellectual or anyone that actually thinks critically, you would question this stuff. But most people, they read it, it's like, because they've been taught to be dumbed down sheeple and not even question the kind of rhetoric espoused by their political propagandists or their media counterparts. However, the government has not shown any interest in amending the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, saying it prefers to focus on getting people into housing. Yeah, because they know, how do you get a fucking right? That's a thing. All right, they're all playing legalese here now, folks, because you don't have a right. There's no enshrined right to a housing. That's a pure tenet of communism. Hey, if you want that, you go down to Venezuela, although I'll tell you right now, the housing that your political masters, your socialist masters will give you, it probably won't be much, but hey, at least they'll be able to say we gave you housing. Yeah, it might be a fucking cave, or it might be an abandoned fucking dwelling of one of those zoo animals that the fucking people had to eat because they're starving to fucking death. Hey, we'll give you some housing, right? Those initial thoughts on planned housing legislation are contained in a recently released discussion paper that concluded with the mid-March launch of online consultations on how Canadians themselves would see a rights-based approach to housing taking shape. The document included a message from the minister in charge of the file that says the plan would take a human rights-based approach to ensure every Canadian has access to a safe and affordable place to call home and to reduce homelessness and poverty levels. Like I say, yeah, they tried this shit many times in many communist fucking ventures and many socialist endeavors all around the world. How's that worked out, folks? Show me anywhere. Please, show me one example where that has worked out. Matter of fact, post a link to any information or any article or any source that you can say where full socialism has worked out good for the people. Go ahead, show me that. Go ahead. Like I say, I asked you. I'm challenging you. Go ahead and do so. I'll wait for it. And I'll deal with whatever you got to offer. And If you give me something, then I might change my mind. But yeah, good luck with that one, because I've already done my work, my homework. I know there's no such examples, but hey, if you want to put forth and present that, we'll see what you can do with it. We'll see what the hell I can do with breaking down the reality of the kind of bullshit that you probably fell for in some bullshit rhetorical article such as this. Anyways, I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video, but I mean, come on. A right to housing? Holy fuck, folks. Think about all of us that had to fucking work so hard, right? For so many years of our lives just to have, I mean, I know myself, just to have even a little, well, not little, it's a decent sized house, but it's nothing exceptional by any stretch of the imagination. But to think that nowadays that people can just be given it freely, right? And how does that happen? How is this free? How do you get free housing? How do you get... Somebody's got to fucking pay for it, right? So it's just, once again, forced subjugation and collectivism, where they'll take from the prosperous people, the ambitious people, the people that actually create wealth and prosperity in society, and force them to subsidize those that are unwilling to do the same. It's this fucking craziness, people. Like, I don't know, like I say, I hope more and more Canadians, well, I hope not just my videos, but I hope there's enough of us out here that are disseminating this kind of information, trying to help educate and inform and elevate your intellect enough. I hope enough Canadians are seeing this stuff that you're going to push back, because, well, once you go that far, once you go into the fucking, well, go look at these socialist or communist countries, whether it's in the past or currently. See how bad things are and see how well that's going to work. And I mean, if you have kids or grandkids, they're the ones that are ultimately going to suffer, because it takes time for all this shit to unfold, right? So, you know, even if it works out good for the first couple of years, well, you're sacrificing your children and your grandchildren if you're willing to go along with this kind of bullshit, because they're going to be placed into some very precarious and very dangerous situations in the future. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.